Rete, a Bleach fandom community podcast brought to you by finally being a decent older brother. See, was that so hard? It only costs an arm and a leg. Hi, my name is Del, and today I am joined by Nomi.
1, 2, 3, hello!
Okay, I got a 2, 3. If you said 1, I did not get 1.
Okay, yay! Did you get the hello, though? That's the important part.
I did get the hello.
Okay,
I did get the hello. I think I've just accepted it as an inevitability at this point, but... God, that is so stupid.
Yay! Okay, hi.
Hey.
Hello. Yes, I thought I'd come in, with a dramatic entrance, like half the cast of these 2 episodes did.
Well, unfortunately for both of us and for Discord, March Comes In Like a Lion is a whole different anime. Happy March, by the way.
Happy March. Yeah, I can't believe it's March.
I know. Yeah, time is flying. I'm in a place that is warmer than the places where I've lived in the past. And so we're already getting what I'm considering to be fully spring weather. So it's giving me a little bit of whiplash. I feel like it's later in the year than it actually is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're in our false spring. This is our... Oh, look, you're going to get double figures, like 10 degrees, but next week it's going to snow, so don't hold out too much hope.
Ooh. Yeah. I think we're through the snow where I am. Of course, I say that. No, I'm a big old liar. We have a high of 76 degrees Fahrenheit today. I don't think we're going to revisit snow. Although we have colder with partial sunshine next weekend, so TBD. Is it gonna be Byakuya's springtime Bankai or Rukia's wintertime Shikai? Who knows? I guess there's only one way to find out.
I just googled what 76 degrees Fahrenheit is, and I'm like, wait, what? That's like obscene summer weather for me. So I like we never see that in summer. So
it's.
The joys of living in the South, right?
I also don't like the warm weather very much. If I never saw another day that was above 25 degrees Celsius, I would be a happy camper. Like, if I don't... Ugh.
Yeah.
I bet Hanataro doesn't feel that way, though. We've only got 2 episodes today, but even so... should we get into those summaries and see where they take us?
Let's do that, yes.
Let's do that. Okay, fabulous.
Okay. So, in episode 196, joining the battle, the strongest Shinigami army appears, we're reminded in dramatic fashion of the reveal from the end of last episode, that Ichigo was saved from a devastating defeat at the tusks of Tesla by none other than the captain of the 11th Division himself, Kenpachi Zaraki. Noritora tries to warn his Fractione, but to no avail, for Kenpachi is as ruthless as he is deadly, and fells Tesla with one strike in a display that surprisingly wasn't censored. There's hope for you yet, anime. Kenpachi goes on to explain that Kisuke Urahara is the genius behind his arrival. Apparently Yamamoto had contacted Urahara and given him some tasks, one of which was to stabilize a path to Hueco so that captain-level Shinigami could pass through safely. Of course, Kenny didn't come alone, much to his chagrin, and the scene shifts showing us that those captains who joined him were Kurasuchi and Nemu of the 12th, Urahara and Isane of the 4th, and Byakuya of the 6th, as well as Kenpachi's own lieutenant hiding in the fort of his Hayori. Urahara and Isane stop the execution squad from finishing off Chad and Gantenbein. Mayuri and Nemu appear before Xylapalo, and whilst Byakuya appears before the mysterious Espada from before, stopping him from dealing a devastated blow to Rukia. The Espada Zommari Rureaux, who is the 7th Espada. Urahara explains that they are not here to fight. Obviously, the other 3 didn't get that memo, for fights break out in what appears to be a type matchup for the ages. Self-proclaimed strongest Espada against actual strongest Shinigami, mad scientists versus mad scientists, and a showy display of speed that makes Sonic the Hedgehog look like a sloth.
Sonic the Hedgehog is not in these episodes, how dare you?
Zommari reveals that his own speed can create doubles of himself. not 2 of them, but a grand total of 5. When his previous attempts to shoot Zommari with Kido fails, and needing to escape an attack of Zommari's, Byakuya resorts to desperate measures and calls upon the Flash Goddess herself and begrudgingly uses a move that was taught to him by Yoruichi before saying that Zommari would not lose due to arrogance, but due to a difference in their powers.
Which brings us to episode 197, Byakuya's Bankai, The Quiet Anger, in which we learn that our favorite Squad 4 good boy, Hanataro Yamada, can't use Shunpo, bless him, because he says as much as he sprints through Las Noches, doing his best to keep up with Byakuya, who, by now, as we just heard from Nomi, is now engaged in combat with Seventh Espada Zommari Rureaux. Now, let's be super clear. Neither Byakuya nor Zommari is arrogant, okay? It's just Byakuya earnestly believes he's better than Zommari, and Zommari earnestly believes he's better than Byakuya. So, perhaps predictably, in the wake of this totally not arrogance, this fight escalates almost immediately, with Zommari releasing his Zanpakuto, Brujeria, and the next thing we know, his body is covered in eyes, which he turns on Byakuya, and by doing so, he takes control of Byakuya's left leg and then his left arm, but Byakuya, practically without hesitation, slices at some crucial tendons within his own body, rendering the arm and leg under Zommari's control immobile. So Zommari changes tactics, choosing to control the body of the unconscious Rukia instead. But Byakuya is absolutely over this bullshit because he busts out a sweet, sweet Bakuda number 61 to hold Rukia in place, goes Bankai, and then informs Zommari that his powers have been rendered useless too. Zommari may have 50 eyes, but Byakuya's Bankai is thousands of blades. Take control over that, arrogant eyeball man. And also, Noitora and Kenpachi are still fighting. And also, elsewhere, Captain Unohana and Lieutenant Disane heal Chad and Gantenbein, and they have a lovely little conversation about duty and vigilance and their fellow Gote colleagues, and it's kind of nice. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. It's interesting at how things have escalated now with the introduction of these 4 captain class.
Truly. Like, I feel like we took a long time to get here, and then, I mean, even thinking back to Ichigo versus Grimmjow, for example, that was one fight that took place over a couple of episodes, and now we have multiple captain-level encounters going on all at the same time.
Yeah. And the captain class, Soul Society has not been sitting around doing nothing. Because if we think of...
No, which, thank God, honestly, because it kind of felt that way.
Right? And, it's been, a couple of hours since, Ichigo's been in Hueco. I mean, it seems like longer, but I'm pretty sure it's not been that long in the grand scheme of things. So they worked fast to get that... to get the Gargantua stabilized, to actually leap into action, to put all these things in. Ichigo leaving probably didn't help matters, but, they're getting there.
Yeah, I think, time is funny because the thing that they say, at least in the anime, about the timeline is that stabilizing that passage to Hueco Mundo normally would take 3 months, but Urahara, being Urahara, managed it in just 1. So I get the sense that there actually was... It feels like there was a bigger gap between Urahara opening that passage for Ichigo and friends versus Urahara opening that passage for the captains.
See, because
It feels like more time passed, right? Maybe?
I don't know, because the way Kenny worded it, it was like before Orihime got kidnapped is when Yamamoto had approached him. So he'd been doing it for a month prior to Orihime disappearing.
I got the sense that it still kind of wasn't done when Ichigo and Uryu and Chad and everybody left,
I don't think
I got the sense that it was still a work in progress at that point.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then that kind of just kick-started him into prioritizing that first and then moving on to the other tasks he had got given.
Right.
Which
right.
we don't know what they were.
Oh,
but...
I know. Oh, man. And we still don't know loads about... Okay, things we know about Urahara, really powerful. We know he's a former captain. We've seen that Hoori at this point, right? We know that.
Yeah, we know that.
Yeah, okay. So the nuances of that relationship are still up in the air. Okay, former captain, not a captain anymore, not living in Soul Society, but still accepting Yamamoto's orders in a high-stakes situation. So it's...
Yeah.
Whatever's going on is complicated, I guess, is the most we know, but we still don't have answers about that.
That's very true, because we know he was exiled, because that was brought up in there. At the end, Yoichi mentions it. So, for someone who's exiled, he's certainly got a lot of hands in people's pockets.
Okay, right? Like, I like very much the idea that, because I don't know, you already know that I don't like Yamamoto very much, but the idea of Yamamoto and the powers that be within Soul Society looking at someone really powerful and being like, okay, right, we need to punish you somehow, so, because you've probably done something that doesn't line up with our so neat and tidy morals and values. Okay, Soul Society, like, go off. But by the way, would you mind just, like, doing us a little favor? Like, would you mind? And I'm sure that Urahara, like, looked at the circumstances and was like, ugh, Aizen sucks.
Yeah.
Like, fine. But
so basically,
it feels gross, is I guess what I'm getting at.
Urahara is Yamamoto's bitch. And that's his punishment for whatever he did.
I kind of feel like Urahara could make a bigger deal about this if he wanted to.
Oh, for sure.
But he wants to just have his little candy shop and go to sleep at night.
Yeah.
I don't know how much that man actually sleeps, but you see my point.
Yeah. But there's probably something in it for him then. Because he's the type of person, he's not going to do anything unless it's got something in it for him. So whatever all these tasks are, whether it's the chance to analyze or one-up Aizen or whatever it is he's trying to do, I was going to say, I imagine defeating Aizen is important enough to him because it seems like Aizen's plans have universally impactful ambitions. So it's probably a big enough deal that Urahara is like, oh, fuck, I kind of have to get involved. Yeah. Yeah, so, Aizen, it's this whole game of chess that Aizen and, what's his face? Aizen. No. Urahara.
Yeah.
That Aizen and Urahara are playing, that Yamamoto asking Kisuke to do these tasks for him is just another way that he can checkmate Kisuke. Other way around. Aizen.
No, yes.
Too many names.
Too many names. Speaking of names, I guess, sort of. This was meant to be a good segue, and then I realized it was going to take me into 197. But there's whatever. Zommari makes a big deal about whether he's going to tell people his name or not for like all of 2 seconds. And then whatever, he eventually calls Byakuya a nameless noble. This is later, this is fully 197, but I was kind of like, oh, that's actually a very incisive thing to say to somebody who cares so much about status. That whole fight, I feel like everything about it is about one-upmanship.
Oh, for sure. Like that, even Gein's Anka encyclopedia at the end made fun of it as well.
I love it.
But yeah, as we're going into 197, shall we go back to 196 and I'll do anime manga differences?
Yes.
And we can get
let's.
into the crux of the matter. So, this was 2 manga chapters. It was 298, Intruderz 3, and 299, The Verbal Warfare. Now, I went back and looked. Intruderz 1 is the gang's first arrival into Soul Society. So that's
very nice.
Way back in the rescue arc. And then Intruderz 2 was their first arrival into the Serete, which was when they broke through the dome So that's when Intruders 1 and 2 were, and this is Intruders 3.
Cool.
And it's the captains invading. So yeah, differences we've got. We had a little bit of Yachiru filler. She is there. She does pop out of Kenny's Hayori, but she doesn't beat Ichigo or do any of that kind of.
I wasn't bothered by that at all. That was fine. I thought because it's somebody we haven't seen in a long time. It was like, oh, it's Yachiru. We've missed her.
Yeah. We've got extra lines, just causing Urahara to repeat herself to Asane. Like Urahara does that whole "we're not here to fight," and then Asane goes and attacks them, and Urahara has to repeat herself. Yeah, that was filler because they added in that line. Pesce and Dondo filler. It is safe to assume every time we see Pesce and Dondo Chaka from now on, it is filler.
Oh, That's fine. I didn't even take notes about what their jokes were, but I remembered watching it going, this is...
Yep.
It's just, there's a level of stupid where you can tell it's anime sometimes.
The cuts to Noitora versus Kenny, Mayuri versus Zyle, they're all filler. The manga literally just continues with Byakuya. There's no cuts whatsoever, so there was a lot of whiplash happening.
That makes sense. Like, exactly. It's not. That's not helpful structurally. I guess it kind of is when you're watching the anime, in case some, young, like a 10-year-old with an okay attention span doesn't care about Byakuya and like only cares about Kenpachi, and so they want to cut back to keep everybody engaged. But from a manga standpoint, I get that.
The only one good thing that came out of it is that the anime actually showed us Mayuri get cocooned and the little voodoo doll happening, whereas in the manga that's just implied that happened. You just see Mayuri just kind of all like worn out and he'd just been spat back out again.
Oh, okay. That fucking duh. I'm thrilled. I always want more of that.
And then we had a very interesting one. So we see Byakuya talks about Yoruichi. And in the anime, we see like a little clip of Yoruichi. And it's Yoruichi as we know.
Yeah.
That panel, that version of Yoruichi is also what is shown in the weekly shonen publication. However, in the big volumes, it is a very different looking Yoruichi that we haven't seen before.
Wait a second! Is this what I'm thinking of?
I don't know what you're thinking, but maybe.
I'm thinking... Well...
We are seeing her with short hair and a Captain Hayori and her Chihakuso.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
we're seeing past.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it looks significantly different, and it's very interesting as to where this image is from and how it's only in the combined volume, like the normal printed volumes, than it is and not in the Weekly Shonen Jump that like the little one chapter that you saw in Weekly Shonen Jump or in the anime.
Does she have... I know that we have like mixed sometimes when some people are like bopping around, we know exactly where their zanpakuto is and it just like lives on their hip. My question is, does she have a zanpakuto in this image?
No.
Okay, well, fine.
No.
Never mind.
But yeah, that was it for chapter 196. So yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
The fact that it was only 2 chapters kind of shows you like how much they had added, and there was mainly just a jumping backwards and forwards between everybody.
Yeah. Which, in addition to helping audience members potentially main focus in the anime, I gotta say, I also found it very exciting to be like, oh man, captains have arrived, who's here, who's gonna fight who. I actually really liked those jumping around with those introductions quite a lot. Like, I felt like they were ramping up to something, and I thought it was really exciting.
Yeah, and I mean, these type matchups are on point.
Oh my god, this is... I took a note about this as well. It is classic Kubo in a way that I love.
Yeah.
Like, this is so classic Bleach. Like, putting people opposite each other whose skill sets just line up just right. It's on the one hand, is it kind of dumb? I guess. Is it really satisfying? I think so.
Yeah, and it's like it gives them a chance to shine. I mean, these are characters that we have seen in a fight before. Like we've seen Mayuri fight Ishida, we've seen Kenny fight
Yep.
Ichigo and other people. We've seen Byakuya fight a ton. Urahara's not the fighting type, but it was nice to see them get some screen time as well. It would have
Yes,
been
she doesn't
interesting.
get much screen time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would have been interesting if it were other captains that maybe we hadn't seen much of fighting before, like, I don't know, Kuraku and Nogutaki. Would have been really great to see how they interacted in this situation.
I sort of disagree because I feel, whatever, maybe I'm biased. I feel like there's a level of maintaining that mystery that is almost more compelling. Like, Kenpachi arrives, you know what he's gonna do. And you also... Kenpachi versus Noitora, like, yes, I kind of do just want to watch them smash at each other and scream at each other. Like, I kind of do want that. I sort of... There is something, because up to now it's been like, oh my god, how is Ichigo and how is everybody else, like Uryu, Renji, how are these folks who are pretty powerful but either like kind of beaten up at this point or not Espada level, how are these people going to get out of this really tricky situation? And then we see, like, I kind of feel like it's a bit of a homecoming. Like, it's a comfy return to see, like, oh, yeah, Kenpachi, I know what that guy can do, and I know how he can fuck things up. Or, like, ooh, Byakuya, we know he's going to maintain his composure, and we know he's going to... I mean, maybe not. We haven't seen him fight too often, but I feel like Byakuya, and maybe this is where Renji gets it, TBH, but I feel like Byakuya is another one of those people. He's like, no, I love my Bankai. I'm gonna go Bankai every chance I can get. I feel like Byakuya goes Bankai kind of often.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Mayuri, you're like, I can't think of anybody else I would rather see fight Zyle, other than, like, I feel like Urahara would even be boring. Like, I feel like it would be he would squish Zyle too quickly.
Yeah, like, Mayuri is the type of person who's gonna like to play with his food.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, no, I definitely
Even though he
see
was
where
the
you're
one who
coming
got
from.
eaten.
And yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from. The captains that came and like to help out, they're gonna provide so much entertainment. Like, probably, I'm not too sure about Kenpachi because Noitora seems absolutely terrified right now.
Yeah.
Whereas you can see that Mayuri and the Zyle, if they ever get into it, that could be a fun one. That could be amazingly entertaining.
Oh yes.
And Byakuya's not just fighting for himself. He's got that whole pride thing going on. He's now got that, you hurt my pride, and that pride is my sister.
Yep. Yeah, not to mention carrying some guilt from the last arc, I imagine.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I sure hope so.
He's trying to redeem himself by saving her at this point.
Yeah.
The scarf wasn't enough. Now he's got to...
Yeah, God.
Because all he did was give them a cape, yeah.
Yeah, that actually... I mean, I know it's a different article of clothing, but can we talk about the fact that he just, like, fucked up his Haori without even thinking about it? He just, like, blasted through a very important article of clothing, like, what?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, his priorities are clearly on winning this fight, actually.
And you can think that for Byakuya, that Haori is going to be it's so much more than a symbol to him.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to, like, yeah.
But another thing to consider is, so we now know Zommari's number, right? So that means that the captains that are still fighting right now are fighting against number 8, number 7, and number 5. It's not the whole reason why I'm like, oh, save the big guns for Kyoraku Nogutake or for Yamamoto. Fuck Yamamoto, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Or Toshiro, or who knows. But 3, 2, 1 are still... No one has fought 3, 2, 1 yet.
Yeah, no one's...
And so maybe we're saving the big guns for some bigger guns.
But I'm also slightly concerned that we haven't met 10 yet. Like, I like...
Yeah.
Like, 10 to me would be
that's
a weak
a good
one.
point.
So you're like, where's this 10? Is he just gonna, like, is it just gonna be comic relief and he's just gonna get punched by someone? Like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if that is the case, then I just hope that 10's not Hannibal.
Only time. Yeah. Because I'm also thinking about the captains. And you know what? And lieutenants, now that I think about it. Because there are some lieutenants that have some, like, presumably have some pretty cool powers that we have never seen. Like, to be a lieutenant, you need to have achieved a certain level of status. So, like, we've seen, like, Renji and Ikak, not that Ikaku's a lieutenant, but he's, like, I don't know, Yachiru is a whole, like, he, whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like Squad 11 just does their own thing, and that's categorically something else. Anyway,
I'm pretty sure
Renji's a
Ikaku
lieutenant, and he's got Bankai. Ikaku totally doesn't have Bankai. What are you talking about? But, like, you know?
Yeah.
So there are some dope lieutenants. Like, maybe, like, if this is a Kira and Hisagi tag team moment, like, we've never seen that, but what if, you know? Or, like, we've not seen Matsumoto do a lot. We've not seen Momo do a lot, you know? Maybe. And I imagine, I guess I don't want to assume, but I imagine Momo might want to be involved in an Aizen takedown. Maybe.
Yeah, I feel like
I
she
could see
might.
her wanting that.
Yeah, I feel like she
Yeah.
might want to take revenge on what happened. Yeah.
Yeah. It was objectively awful. It was really awful.
Yeah.
Poor Momo.
But
So yeah, there are a lot of
There are a
people
lot.
who have yet to fight, and they're not all captains.
no.
So
I mean, we haven't even seen
knows?
Nemu fight, and Nemu is here right now.
yeah, that's true. We haven't seen her fight. We've seen her be involved and follow her captain's orders exactly to the detriment of her own health and safety back when Mayuri was fighting Uryu, which, by the way, how about when Uryu was like, oh, it's you, it's Captain Kurotsuchi, and he was like, I don't know who you are and I don't care, and Uryu was like, excuse me?
Yeah.
He literally won that fight. I know, like, Kurotsuchi's still alive, but Uryu literally won that fight. Like, oh, give my son his justice, please. Whatever, they're both my sons. I feel fine about all of this.
Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about Kenny and the surprising fact that he actually comprehended what was happening enough to be able to relay it back to Ichigo in a sense that Ichigo could understand it? Like, you don't see that from Kenny often. You just see him as the bronze, but him actually comprehending what was happening and not charging in before it's been explained to him shows that he's not just a pretty face. There is something behind him.
That is a really good point. Yeah. Yeah, he's getting some more layers. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it's cool, because he shows up and you think you know exactly what you're getting, and you do get that. Kenpachi loves a fight, and that is a true thing about him.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that, I mean, Ichigo, we know, is far more multifaceted than just, like, a guy who fights well. But we've also been following Ichigo throughout this whole entire anime. We've seen way less of Kenny. So I don't want to say that it's, like, a nice bonding moment for them. But I don't know. I actually think that is what I want to say. I think it was...
Yeah, it
was nice.
It showed Ichigo that, you know, he is a captain. And, you know, there's more to a captain than just being the strongest Shinigami.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Byakuya's resentment over using a technique that Yoruichi taught him. And, like, we know he and Yoruichi have history because we saw it on the bridge. Back in the rescue arc. But I feel like this just gives another layer to their relationship and adds a little bit more to how deep their relationship actually goes.
Right. Because this is the first reference we have to her having taught him anything outright, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And, like, for someone who doesn't like this woman, then how would he have allowed her to teach him something? Right.
And the other question that comes into play a little bit is Byakuya is from a noble family. Mm-hmm. So who do you hire to teach your kids if you're a noble family, you know? Or, I mean, unless this was something he just picked up at the academy, but then why has nobody else made a reference to having been taught by Yoruichi? This feels like a specific situation. This doesn't feel like, oh, Yoruichi was just a teacher or something, you know?
Yeah, and we know there's more to Yoruichi because of the Shihoin shield that they used to... So we know there's something more to Yoruichi than meets the eye. She's not just this random person that can turn into a cat. You know, there's something about her. We just don't know what it is yet.
Well, I was going to say, so something that we do know for sure is that both Byakuya's name and Yoruichi's name mean something important, because you're not just going to name a shield that can destroy the Sokyoku after a family that isn't important.
Exactly.
That's not a coincidence. It can't be.
No. So yeah, I mean, definitely, I hope it goes into more details, and I do hope we find out a little bit more about the Yoruichi Byakuya relationship of old.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
And you know what? Frankly, Soifone too, because we know they have history, but we didn't get a lot of detail in that way either. So people that we know, I guess what I'm like, we know that Yoruichi has history with Soifone. We know that Yoruichi has history with Byakuya.
And we know that Yoruichi has history with Kisuke.
Well, yeah, of course. But we've seen that relationship in the present a little bit more, and we met both Kisuke and Yoruichi in the world of the living first. So, yeah, how do all of these things get tied together is a good question to be asking at this point.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we won't have to wait too long.
Hopefully not.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? Because at this point, like, they're dropping little hints consistently, and like they are giving us little breadcrumbs at this point. Like, they're clearly, you're not going to drop hints like that and then do nothing with it, you know?
Sorry.
What?
For the most part, I mean.
No, but
yeah.
No. Yep. No.
But yeah, hints would be good.
Yeah.
But
I think that's all I have for 196, because of course 197 just goes in primarily to Byakuya's fight.
Yeah. The only other thing I had for 196 is Byakuya's need to sell the Kido after he'd already shot it. It was a case of say, like, yeah, this is what I can do, but I'm just gonna tell you I'm gonna mansplain what I just did.
Ugh, Matt, he's not only is he a dude, he's a noble dude. I'm like, bro, yeah, no, he just grew up a certain way, you know? This tracks. He's on a journey. At least he's fighting to save his sister now.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely.
God.
Okay, but 197?
Yeah.
So the manga chapters used in 197 were chapter 300, Curse Named Love, and chapter 301, Nothing Like Equal. So again, it's only 2 chapters.
Okay, good.
We have Hanataro, who talks too much in the anime.
See?
Yeah. I mean,
I know what you mean by that. I took I don't know, maybe it's because he's just so well-intentioned. I actually didn't find him particularly annoying, despite the fact that he didn't shut up. Like, I got the sense that I thought it was kind of sweet. I was like, oh my god, you're so nervous, you poor boy. Like, that's kind of how I felt.
Yeah. But it was a missed opportunity, though, because the anime skipped a really great one-liner from Byakuya that...
What?
With Hanataro's extra talking would have worked so much more better. But there's a small panel in the manga in which Byakuya says, "You're not in my way, you're annoying me." And it just really downgrades Hanataro, and it would have been so perfect in the anime.
Deadpan Byakuya just calling shit out the way it is one of my favorite things. Yeah. I just think it's very good.
Like, Byakuya doesn't have humor that often, but when he does, he delivers it so well.
Because that's just it. Byakuya is so serious that sometimes the things he says are funny. Like, it's not self-aware. He doesn't know that... he doesn't know that he's funny, I said, but maybe sometimes it's like if he's trying to be funny, he tries too hard. And if he's just being himself, that's when he's actually funny.
But yeah, so missed opportunity there. Rukia's ice expands a lot further in the anime, and Hanato even makes references to it, because he's like, oh, it's so cold and everything. Whereas the ice doesn't expand that far. He's literally just running, and he's like, oh, no, I can't shampoo, wait for me. And he trips, and then the next thing you know, he's actually in the thing, and he's picking Rukia up, and then he's just carrying Rukia away. There's none of this shaking Rukia, and I was like, Hanato, you're a medical profession. Stop shaking her. She could have broken something.
Yeah, I suppose there is that. That's a very good point. Oh.
So yeah, in the manga, Hanato just carries Rukia away. The Noitora versus Kenny was all filler. The Isane and Ahana talk was all filler.
Sure.
There is no, when Zommari controls Rukia and they have that kind of little fight where Byakuya is just dodging. That's all filler. There is no Rukia versus Byakuya.
Wait, but it's so cool.
Yeah, well, Zommari knows that he's not going to get anything out. Like, the fight's not going to be worth it. So, in the manga, Zommari just goes straight to threatening Rukia and causing him to do something that way. Because he knows that Byakuya is not going to attack.
That. Okay, good. Because, clearly he can see that relationship is important to Byakuya, and Byakuya is not going to jeopardize Rukia's life. Any more than it's already jeopardized. Ugh.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. But, again, it was only 2 chapters. So, you can see how a lot of it was filler.
Just straight up. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow, okay. Well then. Okay, so, couple things. Thing number 1, another Espada release, right out the gate. Nobody was pulling any punches with that one.
Cursing Eye Monk, Brujeria.
Yeah.
It's one of the creepiest ones, but it's also one of the ones you ask people around, and I'm pretty sure Zommari is probably that one that everybody forgets they exist.
He's just... It's... Right. So when I think about it, I can see the through lines between the way he behaves and the way his powers manifest and the name of his Zanpakuto and the name of his technique. He's clearly very interested in control and possession, and some of the language, it's an instance where some of the language gets a little bit finicky when you're trying to blend Japanese and Spanish and English all in a way that makes sense together. So there's this through line of creepy kind of witchcraft vibes, but I'm also like, well, Brujeria is actually a really specific cultural reference, and I don't think that's the reference Kubo was making. Evil eyes are a thing in a lot of cultures, and so, but they don't have to do with control, but they do have to do with curses sometimes. Also, Amor is a little bit out of left field. So his powers don't not go together if you look, but you have to look. It's not like somebody like Xyle where you're like, oh, you're a mad scientist and you do creepy organ crushing stuff. Yeah, that tracks. Grimjow is fast and likes punching things, so he gets faster and better at punching things. That's the through line is so clear, and the imagery is so clear. Xyle has that bird and phoenix situation kind of loosely alluded to. Grimjow has the panther thing that is a consistent through line. Zommari is a pumpkin? I don't...
Yeah, and it is...
Halloween?
It's very odd. I mean, it makes a little bit more sense with the manga chapter titled Curse Named Love. And it's... Love can be a curse. So you know, you have got that kind of allusion to the connections between love and curse there.
Yeah.
But so it's a little bit more, tiny little bit. But yeah, it is.
It's kind of shoehorny. I just feel like the most love we've seen from Zommari is love for himself.
Very vain.
Yeah. Arrogant, even though he wouldn't say so.
Yeah.
But I think it's a cool power. I do think it's a cool power.
Creepy power. But yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was only creepy because he did that whole head thing on its tilt.
Yeah. And I also I don't know. Because that was another one. I don't know. I also don't think maybe that's what it is. I kind of feel like Kubo doesn't like Zommari as much as he likes literally all of the other Espada we've met, even the ones we haven't seen very much of. I kind of don't know if Kubo knew what he was going for with Zommari.
Yeah. You know? Yeah, because it's very...
He's the Ukitake of the Espada. What?
yeah. He's the forgotten child. Not that Ukitake is the forgotten child.
Oh no, you can say it.
There are others who you don't see ever again.
You're right.
But yeah,
You're right.
So yeah, he created all the. I wonder if Zommari was like one of the last ones he created because he just got tired.
Maybe. Especially because Kubo creates so many just objectively beautiful characters, I feel. And with a lot of different vibes, too. Like I've said before that I like the aesthetic of Grimmjow pre-release more than post-release, but there's like a lithe elegance to Grimmjow released that I think had a lot of thought and care put into it, for example. And if you just look at like the base designs of most of the Espada, like even if they're not pretty, they're like aesthetically consistent, you know? I don't know, like Noitora is all straight lines and big protrusions, and those things all I guess I don't know what like the pervading overarching thought behind Zommari's design was. I don't quite get it, I suppose.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
It's hard to express though. And I don't want to rip on Zommari just because we don't get to see very much of him before he goes into his release. I feel like we got to see a lot of Grimmjow, for example, before we ever got to see his release. Like, I mean, even Nell, even though her situation is different, we got to spend some time with her before she popped into adult form and then popped into her release too. Like, Zommari's just kind of been lurking in the background, not really doing much of anything. And so then it's like, oh, I guess he's in a fight, so he's just going to release straight away. I guess I don't know if maybe I don't feel like Kubo was particularly excited by him or something.
Maybe. But that's not to say other people didn't enjoy it, because
right.
Fun fact, a poll was done on the best bout, and this fight was 16th out of 83. So this includes quite a lot. This includes.
So is this like the first arc up through where we're at now?
This includes the final manga arc. So all of those fights, it is 16th.
Well, you know, I will say, this is a fight that I always... so, Zommari aside, this is a fight that I always remember, because this is one of those fights where I remember exactly where I was when I watched it, because I've said this before, I think, but Byakuya was an early fave, and the first time I watched this anime, like, Byakuya was high-key one of my ride or dies, and when he sliced his own arm, I lost my mind. I thought it was the most badass thing ever. So I love the fight, and I love what we learn about Byakuya in this fight. I think it's a very cool fight for character development for Byakuya, and I think he's a fucking badass in this fight. Yeah. So in that way, I do understand that. I'm surprised it's 16. This is up through the final arc of the manga?
Yep.
Interesting. All right, well, hey, I mean, I'm glad people liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, you know what, that's a reasonable conclusion, is I don't love Zommari. I do like thinking about Zommari, and fundamentally, I like this fight.
It seems like it's over quickly, but really,
Yes.
I feel like it's not. Because...
Ooh, how so?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I just get that sense. Maybe it was because it was the sort of like in the teaser at the end, you see a little bit more to him. Like you think it's over, but maybe he's got one final thing. But compared to all the other Espada fights, it was over too quickly.
Yeah, maybe that's part of it. Yeah.
Because we've been so used to it being Ichigo or Renji and Ishida, these fights taking episodes long, and then Byakuya just comes in and he's like, yeah, you're done. And you're like, is that the power difference
thing,
between
both
everyone?
of them is about speed. So, I mean, not their whole thing, but they're both very proud of that. Mm-hmm. But I feel like they're both practical. Like, neither of them is gonna waste time. Neither of them is much for small talk, that's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think Byakuya has actually said 2 words other than, did you do that?
We did, and I think we haven't seen this from Byakuya yet, but we did get a close-up on his face and, like, damn you. Like, he was a little, his lovely feathers were just a little bit ruffled at one point, and that was at the end of 196. So he feels, he took some of it. I don't know whether it's that he took it personally necessarily, but he was a little bit visually upset, which for Byakuya probably means he was very upset.
Yes. Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was. You know when he's upset.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The only other thing, and I assume this was in the manga, the part where Byakuya uses Kido to restrain Rukia, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I just think, I was surprised that Zommari hadn't been briefed on high-level Kido, especially considering Bakudo literally means way of binding. Mm-hmm. So it is one of the 3... There are 3 kinds of Kido. That is not that many to keep track of. So, well... There are basically 3 kinds of Kido. So the idea that he would go into a fight with a captain level combatant and not anticipate that Byakuya could maybe restrain somebody who was under his control, he was just so surprised by that. And I was like, really? Really? I'm not saying he should have seen it. Well, he's got 50 eyes. Maybe he should have seen it coming. But I am not saying he should have anticipated that specifically necessarily. But I don't know. I thought it was a very straightforward solution to that problem. And Zommari was like, oh no, what do I do now? Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Yeah, he did seem rather taken aback by the fact that he was like, wait, somebody outsmarted me. Yeah.
Yeah, but like not even... It wasn't incredibly innovative. Now, granted, not everybody can just bust out high-ish level Kido like that. Like, Byakuya is very good at Kido, and that's a thing. Mm-hmm. But even so.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only other note I had for this episode was Hanataro is all of us. I know that he talked less in the manga, but the amount of, like, not fan-souling per se, because Hanataro is of course a little bit more emotionally invested than, say, a viewer of the anime. But the idea of like, oh no, what's happening over there? Rukia, oh no, is oh god, like everything he was saying, I was like, me too, Hanataro, I feel that way too.
It was a very interesting choice, because I completely blanked when I first saw it. I was like, okay, so Kenny's got his lieutenant, you know, you see Nemu there, you got Asani. I was like, poor Byakuya didn't bring a lieutenant. And I was like, wait, no, Renji's literally here.
His lieutenant is very much otherwise occupied.
So then I was like, and then it was Hanataro that turns up. I was like, probably better people from the if you wanted
guess,
a
I
healer,
don't know.
but
They were should have brought Izuru, motherfucker. No, Izuru's probably not emotionally ready for that. Who are we kidding? But you know, the fact that they brought the fact that they brought 3 people from the 4th division shows you how seriously they're taking this. Like, they think people are gonna get fucked up, so they brought 3 healers. Like, that's actually, yeah, because you've got Mayuri and Nemu, Kenpachi, Byakuya, and then, yeah, everybody else who comes with is 4th division, right?
Yeah.
So that's almost half. That's no joke.
Yeah, because because it's the captain, the lieutenant, and then what's Hanataro, the 7th, 9th seat? He's 7th seat, isn't he?
Oh, I don't know. I just remember that thing from one of the omake, maybe, that's like shoot for 9th seat or something like that. I don't know. Is he a seated officer at this point even? He may be. He may not be. Let's see.
He is, and I'm pretty sure he's
a lower seated officer, if anything, then. Seventh at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, bless.
So
he's so sweet. God, he's such a good boy.
I mean, it's understood. It's probably Kubo probably brought him back because he's a popular character. He's someone we've met before.
I'm not mad.
No, it's Hanataro. We had a whole Hanataro appreciation episode. So
I also love too, like, these 2 episodes aren't even really about Hanataro. He's just in them, and here we are, like, oh, Hanataro. Yeah, he's so good. He's so good.
Don't shake an unconscious person, because if you don't know what the cause of their unconsciousness is, just it's like first aid 101.
I mean, you know what? That's why he's only 7th seat. He has shit to learn. And the fact that you can get to 7th seat in the 4th division and not know that yet is
slightly worrisome.
Yeah, a little bit.
But yeah, I've got nothing else for these episodes.
Yeah, no, me neither. Just like let the record reflect that I do actually like this fight between Byakuya and Zommari, despite the fact that I kind of shat on Zommari for a second. I don't know. There's so much, I think that's why, it's like there's so much potential, and I feel like it wasn't fully realized. I think if there were a better through line in his character design and his abilities, I would like him, because I like his abilities.
I'm excited for what, we only saw Byakuya versus Zommari. And there were 2 other captains out there fighting.
Right.
And I'm excited to see where those are going to go.
I don't even care. Yup. Yeah, well, we'll get to that shortly. It does seem to me, especially now that we've gotten that explanation about what Urahara has been up to from Kenpachi, because we've known the whole time that this war is coming. We know that there's gonna be a showdown, and at this point, I feel like every couple of episodes, it's just peppered in another little something that just makes me more and more and more and more excited for the showdown that we know is coming. We know it's coming, and I just want to see it. Yeah.
With everything everyone's planning in the background, though, do you think sending these 4 captains to Hueco Mundo was ever on anyone's cards, or do you think it is a direct response to the fact that Aizen threw a spanner in the works and kidnapped Orihime, and thus Ichigo went after it?
That is a really good question.
Because
Go ahead.
Yeah, because Kenny says that Yamamoto asked Urahara before Orihime to stabilize the Gargantua so captains could go through. Yeah. So, to me, that means that Yamamoto was always planning on storming Hueco Mundo?
Yeah, or at least putting the option in place so that they could, because they would be at a serious disadvantage. They already know that Aizen can just bop off to Hueco Mundo whenever he wants, if he's somewhere else, if he does come back to Soul Society and then needs to make a quick escape or something. So everybody in Soul Society would be at a significant disadvantage if they didn't have a reliable way to get to Hueco Mundo also. Gosh, it's a tough thing to say, though, because if the captains go to Hueco Mundo for any kind of scuffle or showdown, that means fighting Aizen on turf that Aizen has chosen, which also puts them at a significant disadvantage. So
yeah,
I get the sense that maybe Yamamoto was keeping options open, with the caveat also that if he asked Urahara to do this, he maybe asked Urahara to do other shit too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost as if they expect the fight to happen somewhere else, but if they get the upper hand and Aizen retreats, they want to be able to follow him.
Right. And I also wonder whether it was part of the strategic plan for the captains to go in and take out a few important members of Aizen's army right away.
Like the Seventh Espada.
Well, I mean, yeah, but that's one less Espada to worry about. That's
true.
I mean, well, also, it didn't even occur to me, but can you imagine, you're on the battlefield. Zommari has 50 eyes. If you're only one person and you think you have 25 allies surrounding you, and then surprise, bitch, now they're under Zommari's control, and it's a big...
Ooh.
That would be so difficult. If Zommari got into a situation where it was a large faction of the Gote, he could really turn the tides significantly, actually. That would suck.
It could, yeah. I mean, yeah, because they were lucky that, he had 50 eyes, but he only had 3-4 people, each one with, 8 limbs?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I do feel like, yeah, okay, we've questioned the captains who have come through, or, well, we haven't really, because they are great type matchups, but it makes you wonder if they are dividing and conquering. Like, they've been setting, because they all have their specific skill set. They know... Yamamoto knows he's going to need Ichigo, so that's why he sent in a squad of healers to heal Ichigo, despite the fact that Orihime's there, and Orihime can also heal.
Yeah.
So that's probably...
It's just fucking Yamamoto, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna use this literal child. He is our biggest asset. He is such a morally ambiguous character at best. He really, really is.
Yeah.
But, who knows why he is the way he is. I mean, that's something we haven't really talked about at all either, is he's the captain commander of the Gote 13, right? Like, he also looks old. The fact that he's a Bleach character who actually looks old, he's been around for a second. So, flip side of everything I've ever said about him is he's definitely got some history of his own, and there probably are reasons why he is the way he is and fights the way he does.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he's been around the block. He's seen things. He's
been around a couple of blocks.
He's not dealt with this kind of thing before, but he's drawing on past experiences. We don't know what's happened in the past, but I highly doubt it's been an easy ride. They've already mentioned that there was the Quincy uprising 200 years ago, so there have been things that have happened before in Yamamoto's lifetime that he's probably drawing experiences on. And this might be that he's learning from the mistakes that were made in the Quincy uprising 200 years ago, and he's now he's now fixing these mistakes.
He's pulling zero
by using
punches,
Ichigo.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, truly, the idea of like, well, maybe if I'd had an Ichigo way back when, there would have been less bloodshed. Who's to say?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to use everything at his disposal. He's certainly ruthless. And I don't say that as a criticism. It's just, he is. He doesn't pull punches.
No, he doesn't, no.
Oh.
He brings the fire.
He sure does. And despite that, he is not one of my hot boys.
But yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, I feel like that's a reasonable note to kind of pause, take stock, and then come back again after we've seen a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. In that case, shall we move along to our Shinigami Cup Peroxide edition?
Yes, we shall.
Okay. Who wore it best this week?
Byakuya and his look of resentment for having to use a Kido taught to him by someone he despises.
Yes! Oh, love that.
Yes.
Yes. Good for him. Mine this week was Mayuri wearing his intentions on his sleeve when he said that he only wanted to know Zyle's name so that he could write it on a jar. Stuff Zyle into a jar later. It's the first time that Zyle was like, oh, word, respect. Best ship this week.
So my best ship is you and the prospect of your two boys duking it out.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I feel very touched. You said that, and I was like, when are Kyoriko and Ukitake gonna fight? I get it. You meant, I've said it before, I have too many boys. No, I have just the right amount of boys. I just have a lot of them. Yeah, I'm so, I mean, whatever. At this point, we know they're gonna fight. We know what's gonna happen. They're already setting up for this. Obviously, I'm fucking excited. Like, I feel like, at this point, it's okay for me to say it is one of my favorite fights. I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm so excited to talk about it. Actually, yeah, speaking of fights, my best ship this week was sort of, I guess, a combination of ships, which is just everybody who fought somebody else over the course of these episodes because of that classic Kubo power matchup thing. So I'm not sure if I guess those counts as relationships, but yeah, everybody who fought someone that they were well suited to fight. Good work.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Fandom shout out this week.
So my fandom shout out is this amazing piece of art I found on Twitter.
Ooh.
It is Kaien. And it is by
look at him.
03 IMO Kenpai on Twitter, and it is a picture of Kaien just sleeping in the moonlight.
Oh my god.
But the way the light just falls on him, and you've got the shadows of the shoji screen, and he's just so soft, and it's just so tender. It's so pretty.
He is. He is. Oh, this is beautiful. I love this. I was gonna say he doesn't get enough love. I don't know. I feel like people actually do give him a good amount of love for as little panel time and screen time as he gets.
Yeah.
He's a really big, important presence in this story, despite being dead when it begins. Like, fuck. Oh my god. I also have a very pretty piece of art this week. This is, so the link I'm taking you to, the artist didn't actually post it on their Tumblr, but on their Tumblr they have a lot of their other art. The artist is at Shapuda, and they tend to do a lot of, they do like mostly Gramichi and Boku no Hero these days, but occasionally they'll do some commissions and stuff. So this is young Byakuya seeing his Shikai for the first time.
Aww.
It's so pretty. And it's nice to see a little glimpse of, like, he's wide-eyed, he's still, you can see how this boy becomes the man that we know and love.
Yeah.
But there's a little bit of softness to it that we don't often get to see from Byakuya, and there are just lovely cherry blossoms all around, and the light is very pink, and it's very nice. Yeah, if you scroll through this artist's work, occasionally there's some, like, bordering on not safe for work, mostly Gramichi, but a lot of it is also not that. So just heads up if you're, in a public place or something. I don't know. But yeah, mostly it's just nice.
Oh,
yeah.
oh, I love that. It's so soft. I love the colours.
It's very soft.
Yeah.
We both went soft this week. Soft
We
and cool lighting.
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, love it.
Me too. All right. Well, I think that's all we got, right?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. In that case, you wonderful souls, that is the end of another episode. If you like what you heard and you want to get involved, you can find us by searching for The Seirete on Instagram and T Seirete on Twitter. Now, Ichigo and Rukia might reap souls, but we are hoping to reap some 5-star reviews, and that is where you come in. Make like our favorite orange-haired protector and Ichi go to iTunes and Spotify to rate us and review us and make us feel like number one. And to those of you listening on YouTube, don't forget to be like Chad and give us that good thumbs up. We really appreciate it. On the next episode of the podcast, we'll be covering anime episodes 198, The Two Scientists, Mayuri's Trap, 199, Holy Birth, The Resurrected Xyolapero, and 200, which... this is a title. The Hardest Body. Cut down Noitora. All right. We'll see what that's about, I guess. When we see you, souls, then. Till next time. Bye.
Bye.